Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt reached divorce settlement after 8 years. Los Angeles, AP. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have reached a divorce settlement, ending one of the longest and most contentious divorces in Hollywood history, but not every legal issue between the two. Los Angeles Superior Court Judge Scott J. Nord approved the agreement Tuesday, a day after Jolie and Pitt signed off on it. More than 8 years ago, Angelina filed for divorce from Mr. Pitt, Jolie's attorney, James Simon, said in a statement. She and the children left all of the properties they had shared with Mr. Pitt, and since that time, she is focused on finding peace and healing for their family. This is just one part of a long, ongoing process that started 8 years ago. Frankly, Angelina is exhausted, but she is relieved this one part is over. The filing says they give up the right to any future spousal financial support, but gives no other details. An email to Pitt's attorney seeking comment was not immediately answered. Jolie, 49, and Pitt, 61, were among Hollywood's most prominent pairings for 12 years, 2 of them as a married couple. The Oscar winners have 6 children together. Jolie filed for divorce in 2016 after a private jet flight from Europe during which she said Pitt physically abused her and their children. The FBI and Child Services officials investigated Pitt's actions on the flight. 2 months later, the FBI released a statement saying it would not investigate further, and the U.S. attorney did not bring charges. A heavily redacted FBI report obtained by the Associated Press in 2022 said that an agent provided a probable cause statement to prosecutors on Pitt, but that after discussing the merits, it was agreed by all parties that criminal charges would not be pursued. The document said Jolie was personally conflicted about supporting charges, and in a later court filing, she said she opted not to push for them for the sake of the family. A source familiar with the Child Services inquiry told the AP in 2016 that the Child Services investigation was closed without a finding of abuse. A judge in 2019 declared Jolie and Pitt divorced and single, but the splitting of assets and child custody needed to be settled separately. Both have been free to marry again since that declaration, but neither has. The marriage was the third for Jolie, who was previously married to Johnny Lee Miller and Billy Bob Thornton, and the second for Pitt, who was previously wed to Jennifer Aniston. Soon after, a private judge that the two had hired to handle the case reached a decision that included equal custody of their children, but Jolie filed to have him removed from the case over an unreported conflict of interest. An appeals court agreed, removing the judge and vacating his decision. The couple had to start the process over. During the long divorce fight, 4 of their children became adults, negating the need for a custody agreement for them. The only minors that remain are 16-year-old twins Knox and Vivian. The court will maintain jurisdiction over the child custody even with the finalized agreement, as it does in all California cases. In June, one of their daughters, then known as Shiloh Newell Jolie Pitt, successfully petitioned to remove Pitt's name from hers. The couple's use of private judges, an increasingly common move among splitting celebrities in recent years, kept the details of the divorce largely under wraps. There had been no official court actions in the case in nearly a year, and no indication that the two were near agreement. Some elements of their disputes, however, have been revealed through a separate lawsuit filed by Pitt over Jolie's sale of her half of a French winery they owned. Pitt had wanted to buy her half of the winery, Chateau Miraval, and said she abandoned their negotiations and sold her part to the Tenuta del Mondo wine group. Pitt said it was a vindictive and unlawful move that should not have been made without his consent and ruined a private space that had been a second home. Jolie and her attorneys said that Pitt had demanded she sign a wide-ranging non-disclosure agreement about him as part of the proposed deal that was an attempt to cover up his abuse of her and the children.